Good morning, respected chair, distinguished scholars, and fellow participants. My name is Gan Lu, and today I'm pleased to present our study on factor influence work engagement among academic staff in public higher education institutions in Xinjiang, China, with a particular focus on the role of self-efficacy. To begin, work engagement is highly important in higher education because academic staff are expected to manage teaching, researching, and administrative duties at the same time. In this context, engagement is closely related to both academic effectiveness and institutional performance. However, much of the existing literature focus more on the outcomes of work engagement than on its antecedents. In addition, studies in Xinjiang context remain limited, and the moderating role of self-efficacy is still underexplored. This study therefore addresses both contextual gaps and theoretical gaps. Accordingly, our study asks whether emotional regulation, psychological well-being, organizational climate, and self-efficacy influence work engagement, whether self-efficacy moderates these relationships, and whether gender has any effect as a control variable. This research objective directly corresponds to testing each of these relationships. Our study is grounded in the job demand resource model. This framework suggests that employee outcomes are shaped by the balance between demands and resources. In our study, emotional regulation, psychological well-being, and self-efficacy are treated as personal resources, while organizational climate is treated as an organizational resource. Based on this framework, our conceptual model proposed that 4 variables influence work engagement directly. At the same time, self-efficacy is tested as a moderator, while gender is included as a control variable. More specifically, hypothesis 1 to hypothesis 4 represent the direct effect. Hypothesis 5 represents the moderating role of self-efficacy, and hypothesis 6 concerns gender as a control variable. With that model in place, I will now move to the research design. Methodologically, this study used quantitative survey design. We collected data from 200 academic staff in public higher education institutions in China through purposive sampling, using a 5-point Likert skills questionnaire. The data were analyzed with Smart BLS4 using the PIS-SEM approach. In terms of sample profile, most respondents were between 25 and 44 years old, and the gender distribution was almost balanced. And 88.5% hold a master's and doctoral degree. The largest group consisted of lecturers and assistant professors, and many respondents reported a balanced teaching research role. Before examining the structural relationships, we assessed the measurement model. All constructs meet the expected threshold for reliability and validity. Cronbench alpha and the composite reliability value were above 0.7. AVE value were above 0.5, and HTMT value were below 0.9. Overall, this indicates that the measurement model was robust and suitable for the structural analysis. This slide provides a quick overall of the key structural paths. Among all predictors, self-efficacy shows the strongest direct relationship with the work engagement, followed by the psychological well-being, organizational climate, and emotional regulation. This already suggests the control role of self-efficacy in the model. Turning now to the direct effect. All four direct hypotheses were supported. Emotional regulation positively influenced work engagement, with beta equal to 0.193 and F squared equal to 0.055. Psychological well-being showed a positive effect, with beta 0.210 and F squared 0.062. Organizational climate also had a positive effect, with beta 0.208 and F squared 0.062. Most importantly, self-efficacy had the strongest direct effect, with beta 0.349 and a moderate effect size of 0.163. For moderation and control, the interaction effect involving self-efficacy were retained in the model, but all three effect size was very small, namely 0.006, 0.005, and 0.004. This means that self-efficacy plays only a very weak moderating role in practical terms. Gender, by contrast, showed no meaningful effect, with beta negative 0.006 and effect size 0. On the model level, the R-square value for work engagement was 0.382, which means the model explained 38.2% of the variance in work engagement. The Q-square value was 0.218, indicate good predictive relevance. This figure presents the overall structural model visually. It makes clear that the path from self-efficacy to work engagement is the strongest, while the moderation paths are cooperatively weak. At this point, the key finding can be summarized in 3 points. First, both personal psychological resources and organizational climate positively influence work engagement. Second, self-efficacy is the strongest direct driver. Third, its moderating role is very weak, and gender does not meaningfully explain work engagement in this sample. These findings have practical implications for university management. Institutions should strengthen academic staff's psychological well-being and emotional regulation, cultivate a supportive organizational climate, and, most importantly, invest in initiatives that build self-efficacy. Based on our result, this may be the most effective level for enhancing work engagement. In conclusion, this study shows that emotional regulation, psychological well-being, organizational climate, and self-efficacy all positively predict work engagement among academic staff in Xinjiang, China. Among these factors, self-efficacy is the most dominant predictor. Although its moderating role is limited, its direct contribution is substantial. Like any study, this research has limitations. The sample was limited to public higher education institutions in Xinjiang, China. The design was cross-sectional. The data were self-reported. Future research could extend the study to the other region and institution types. Use longitudinal design and include additional variables such as work-life balance and leadership style. That brings me to the end of my presentation. Thank you very much for your attention. I sincerely appreciate the opportunity to share this work with you, and I would be very happy to respond to your questions and comments. Thank you.